Insert panic because the cat was doing really weird sounds. I've now remembered he hates this thing. Oh, this smells so good already. Let's mix this one up. Oh gosh, oh gosh, oh gosh. Woo. Hey everyone, welcome back. I'm Carrie and this is Keep It Simple DIY. It's game night. We haven't had a game night in quite a few months and I really enjoy feeding everybody on game night, so that's what I'm doing. I am making 3 different meals at once because I don't know what people are going to like, but I want to have enough food. So if I made one thing just in a really large portion, I'd be a bit concerned. So what I'm making today is I am making 2 different kinds of chili, a red chili and a white chili. And then I'm also making a tortilla soup. So those will be the mains. And then I'm going to make some dip, just the regular old Velveeta Rotel dip. And then a few desserts as well. So what I'm doing is I'm just cutting up 3 onions because each of the recipes needs an onion. I'm going to get the onion sauteing. Then after that, I will cook the ground beef for the red chili. And then I'll do the white chicken chilies sometime in the middle of there. So let me get these chopped up. I've got my handy chopper here, which is fantastic. I love this thing. I've never used the small dicing setting before, so we'll see how that goes, but I just figured small dice could be nice. I did not mean to rhyme on that. So let me get these all peeled and then we will chop them, get them in. I have about 2.5 tablespoons of butter already in that pan. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to slice this whole thing in here at once. We'll see. Let's see. I want to move my knife out of my way so I don't accidentally hurt myself. That worked. Perfect. Put the little pieces in. Insert panic because the cat was doing really weird sounds. I've now remembered he hates this thing. So this is what's causing him to make the weird sounds. It's okay, Mino. Oh, that one. It's okay. All right, he's probably happy. I'm done. I am going to get these onions on the stove. The onions are now sauteing and I'm going to make up the dip because I feel like this is just going to be a really quick and easy win. I'm just doing the standard Rotel and Velveeta, and fun fact, there was a deal. So I wasn't going to buy this. This wasn't part of the plan for this night, but at the store it was buy a thing of Velveeta, get 2 cans of Rotel and 1 bag of chips free, and I had chips on the list. And so I decided, okay, instead of just buying the chips, I'll buy some Rotel, which I have a bunch in the pantry already, but I figured it'd be, not bad to have extras. And so now I have the Velveeta. There's quite a few recipes I've been looking at recently that call for Velveeta, and I just haven't had it, so now I have it. So that works out really well. So I'm going to only use half of it, do half a recipe of this dip, and then I will keep the other Velveeta for other recipes. Don't come for me in the way that I'm opening this. I'm doing this next because I feel like this is just the quickest win, and sometimes I like to do the things that'll be cooking while I'm doing something else, but in this case, we already have at least the stove going. In this case, I just want to get something under my belt. I don't think I'm going to start this quite yet. It's only 11:30 and game night isn't until, let's see, probably some people will be here between 6 and 8, just depending on which people are coming. Whoa, throw this in. I wonder if it's easier to do it that way first. This way first, there we go. Now I can make the cubes. Oh, this smells so good already. It's like the simple things in life. All right, I think this is about half. I'm gonna put this in the container. call this thing? All right, the onions finished cooking. I just threw 5 pounds of ground beef in the pot. I only need 2 for today, but I figured why don't I pick up 3 extras while I'm at it, and then I can just freeze them. I'm using these 1.5 quart little crock pots, and so I can't fit a whole recipe in here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to double and freeze, I guess, kind of. I mean, it's one full recipe, but I'm freezing half of it. So I'm making the tortilla soup, and I am going to hope that half of a recipe fits into there very nicely. So for this recipe, I need some chicken broth. I'm going to use turkey stock because that's what I have. And I am hoping this is all gonna fit in here. We'll see. This one will go into this. It's a bag. I'm gonna add taco seasoning. I'm not putting these in any particular order. I'm just doing what feels right. That might be about half and half. It calls for some jalapenos. These are hot peppers from the garden. I'm just gonna add probably a decent amount in there because people like them. I don't like them as much, so maybe I'll put just a couple in this, just for flavor. Let's see what else we have here. Rotel diced tomatoes. Okay, let's see. You're gonna do about half there, half here. Rinse that out in a minute. I have cayenne and cumin. Just a little in that one. Cumin. A little bit of hot sauce. I'm using Cholula. We have so many hot sauces. This was a lot to decide. Cholula is my favorite. I think my husband's favorite is sriracha. Okay. Garlic. I'm just using minced garlic in a jar. Grab one of these. Will this fit in here? Yeah. Garlic here. Garlic there. Garlic everywhere. Just kidding, that sounded like a children's nursery rhyme. All right, let's see. Black beans, tomato paste, cream cheese, corn. Let's do the corn next. Oh goodness. Whew. Well, that one will have a lot of corn. All right, stop for a minute to go stir the meat. I'm going to add in the black beans, and then I'm going to add black beans into here. Oh. Rogue black beans, that one can go in there. Add some of this tomato paste to each. We'll use that for a different recipe. Oh my, I'm gonna hold off on that for a minute. Cream cheese, I think I'm supposed to add this at the end, but I follow, oh, we're not using this one. This one's moldy. I wonder why that happened. There had to have been like condensation in there because I've never had cream cheese go moldy. It either dries out, that's it. It dries out or I eat it. So that was weird. Maybe the container was still wet when I put it in there. I should just keep a utensil out instead of keep putting them somewhere else. All right, let's see. Cream cheese going in. Cream cheese going in over here. Whew! We made it. Okay. Cheese. Cheese is probably something I should be putting in later too, but call me a rebel. Let's mix this one up. Oh gosh, oh gosh, oh gosh. Well, we're just gonna hope. We're gonna hope it doesn't overflow. Let's add the final ingredient here. I'm gonna seal it with a lot of air in it, just so I can give it a little bit of a mix. I'm gonna put it in the outside freezer once I'm done with all the others. Trying to decide if everything will fit in here or not. I don't think it will, but here's to me trying it anyways. Well, I put that already over there. One of these guys. And garlic. I already have the chicken and the onions that we sauteed in here. I'm making the white chicken chili right now. And if I had the bigger triple crock pot container, I'd totally be using it. I just don't have it, so I'm not using it. Maybe I will alter the quantity of each ingredient so I can fit it in here. Is that what I should do? Well, let's season it, well, I think. So, pepper, salt, chili powder, cumin, and oregano. And then we're gonna put in some white beans and some broth and some cream cheese, and that's it. It's gonna make me sneeze. Let's see, well, maybe I'll put the broth in next and then see how many beans I think I can fit. Put less cream cheese than it calls for potentially. Trading out for a smaller jar of beans. And I'll have to figure out what to do with that broth. I'm always concerned that I'm not making enough food when people come over. Here in our house, it's just me and Nick, so there's 2 people. And I usually cook a pretty large portion for us, and then I freeze whatever we don't eat. And whenever I'm cooking for a bunch of people, I'm like, is this really enough? And so today I'm making, 2 meals this size. And then I'm also making a bigger pot of red chili. And I'm like, that just doesn't look like enough because we're going to have 10 to 14 people as long as everybody comes. I mean, it is snowing, and so it could potentially get, to the point where people don't come because of the snow. But then I think about it, and this is a quart and a half, and I only eat like a cup of food. There's plenty of food. I am like trying to convince myself that there's enough food and that I shouldn't go crazy making so much. The ground beef is almost done. That's what's needed in this recipe for the red chili. I dumped the rest of the cheese in there and also the onions. And then I've just reheated my oven to 350. I don't know if I remember to tell you, but I am going to be making 2 different kinds of cornbread. I'm going to make a sweet cornbread and then a cornbread that's not sweet. I don't know what I would call that, but a not sweet cornbread. I just salted and peppered the meat pretty heavily. And then I am using canned beans for this one that are from the store because, you just can't mess with a recipe that you've been eating since you were a child. So we're making it kind of the same way. I'm saying you can't mess with it, but I'm about to mess with it. But it's gonna be pretty similar. So I did 2 cans of chili beans and 1 can of diced, what is this even called? Seasoned diced tomatoes in sauce, original for mild chili. I'm gonna dump in this because what else am I gonna do with it? I need to put this in, but I want to use the spoon on the garlic before I do that. I don't typically put broth or tomato paste in my chili, but I didn't want to waste anything. Okay, cumin and chili powder. And the last thing that needs to go in here is going to be the ground beef. All right, my stove is a mess, but I'm going to start getting this ground beef into here. I got this ground beef on sale. It was $3.99 a pound at King Soopers, which is Kroger. And so I bought 10 pounds of it, and this is 5 of those pounds here. So I am going to try to do this without making a big old mess. What I'm noticing is I'm going to make a big old mess. So the goal is to get about 2 pounds worth of ground beef into the crock pot, or whatever will fit, if it won't fit that much. Okay, I think we're good on the quantity of meat in there. I'm going to let the meat on the stove cool before well, do I want more meat? I think I want a little bit more meat. I'm going to let the meat on the stove cool though before I package it up, because I don't want to put hot meat into a Ziploc, and I also don't want to put hot meat into my freezer. That should be good. And then I'll taste this once all the flavors come together, all of them actually, to see if there's the right spices, and hopefully I remember to do that with you. Alrighty, first one that I'm going to make of the cornbread is the less sweet version, and it calls for 2 eggs. Whoop. Whole shell, got it. I'm still trying to figure out the best way to work with this new mixer. I think there's a shell in here, let me double check. Well, I don't see one. It also calls for some melted butter and some buttermilk. I didn't have buttermilk, and so I just did a little bit of vinegar inside of some milk, and I actually used powdered milk. So I'm going to pour that in as well. And then the butter, I did the milk first so that the butter wouldn't cook the eggs. And I'm just gonna dump everything in at once, I think. Cup of cornmeal, 3/4 of a cup of flour, and then 2 tablespoons of sugar, plus some salt, baking soda, and baking powder. And we will just let this run for a few minutes. All right, and yes, if you're wondering, this is what the kitchen's looking like right now. We're in the middle of cooking. The oven actually needed to be a little bit more preheated than I had it. I had it at 350 and it needs to be at 370. No, it doesn't. It needs to be at 425, so that's happening. And I'm just going to dump this on into here. I don't know how to do it so you can see it, so just, you can tell that I'm doing it, right? I think I'm going to put them both in at the same time. That way they're going at the same time. Alrighty, next one I think is basically a cake. It calls for so much sugar. It calls for 1/3 of a cup of honey and a full cup of sugar. The other one just called for 2 tablespoons of sugar. So I'm very glad that I'm making 2 completely different recipes just in case people don't like one or the other. Alright, let's get this sugar in. There's 2/3. I already measured some things out, so I'm like running out of measuring cups. There's another lots of sugar. Here comes the honey. I just can't believe how much sugar is in this one. I have a feeling I'm gonna like the other one better. I'm gonna add the buttermilk to it while it's going. Then also the cornmeal. And the flour. And then also the leaveners and salt. I'm just gonna scrape down the sides. I could have done this like while it was going, put it back in, but I am too lazy for that. I'm thinking I probably should have melted the butter, but that's okay. All right, next one going in. The kitchen is reset and the cornbreads have both come out of the oven. The one with a lot of sugar, I'm realizing I should have let that mix for probably a good 5-10 minutes before pouring it in. And I probably should have cooked it on a lower temperature than the other one, but you know, I didn't, and it's good enough. That's why I made two, just in case one goes awry. I'm now making some dessert. I'm going to make a cherry bar with some maraschino cherries. And I'm going to make the crust first, and then the crust has to bake for like 15 minutes before we put the filling on top. And it also has and it also has an icing that goes on top of that. I'm debating, I might make cookies or cookie bars as well. But for now, I'm just going to add some flour, some butter, and some sugar. This will be our crust. And I'm going to cut that in with a pastry cutter. And then I will smoosh it into this pan over here. Here's the sugar. And here's the pastry cutter. This is gonna take me a minute. I got the crust put into the oven. I'm going to make the filling now. It calls for 1 cup of brown sugar, 2 eggs, some flour and leaveners, which are all just mixed together there, a bit of vanilla. I know I didn't put the eggs in yet, but I realized I was going to have to wash my hands after I do the eggs. So the eggs were waiting. And then it calls for 10 ounces of maraschino cherries, reserve the juice, but this is a 12-ounce jar, so you know what I'm thinking. I get to eat some of them. It tastes like my childhood. I'm supposed to chop these up. I know there's better options for knives, but all right. I think we're good here. Pour these into this bowl. That one was mine. Spatula from the cornbread, I did rinse it off. I need to get my brown sugar to not be so hard. It's from the freezer. If you put your brown sugar in the freezer, it actually makes it so it never dries out. Problem is mine's still frozen, which is why it's a little clumpy together. Okay, let's get this mixed. All right, it's been about 12 minutes. I am going to take the crust out of the oven. It's par cooked now, and I am going to put the filling on top. I also decided I think I'm going to make fudge because I wanted to make fudge for Christmas and I didn't. And so I think that'll be a good thing to put with this. So then I'll have the cherry bars and then I'll have fudge. And that gives someone who doesn't like cherries an option of something to eat. Hopefully this one will be good. I've never tried this before. Okay, filling is on. Let's get it back in the oven for, let's see, 20 to 25 minutes. Here's how the cornbreads turned out. This darker one is the one with all the extra sugar. It kind of got browned, all the sugar crystallizing up here, and you can see it's kind of like pokey. And that just makes me think I should have mixed the sugar in quite a bit more before cooking it. So hopefully it's not super granular when we try to eat it. This one looks fine, but I kind of wish that it would be not as thin as it is. 'Cause if you look at the difference, the one came up quite a bit more, but this one actually looks much better to me than that one. I have what I believe is about 12 ounces of chocolate chips here. I'm going to add a pinch of salt. This is the fudge. My bars are still in the oven. And then I'm going to add 1 can of sweetened condensed milk. And I'm just going to let these melt together. And then once they do, I'll add in a little splash of vanilla and then just pour it into this dish that I've greased so that way they can set, and that's it. Fudge is so easy. And this is perfect because it works because it's like a Valentine's Day candy type thing. I have this on a decently low setting. Yep, I do. I'm going to mix it all together and just slowly, I'm not going to go anywhere. I'm just going to watch this the whole time because this will come together super quickly. It's been just a few minutes and almost all the chocolate chip pieces are melted. I am going to add in a splash of vanilla. All right, I'm going to pour this over into this container. And then I will let it sit out for just a little bit, and then I'll probably put it in the fridge to get it to finish setting. I also prefer to eat my fudge cold. If you don't get it all off the spatula, it's for me. The bars just came out of the oven. I just need to give them a few minutes to cool off. By a few minutes this time, I actually mean like a long time, maybe like an hour or so. Then I will put the glaze on it. Just an update on what's happening outside. We have a lot of snow coming down. The cake is now, for the most part, cooled down. It's been probably an hour or so. And I'm going to make the icing. I only need a little tiny bit of this juice, so I'm going to start really slowly. There's 2 tablespoons of butter in here, and I am just going to grab something so I don't make a mess. Okay, I'm just seeing that no matter what I do, this is going to spill. So there we go. Yep, dripping. Whew. It's thick, but I think this might be the consistency that I want, a pretty thick icing. This is probably just about the like thickness that you would get at the store. Yeah, I like that. All right, let's see. I'm like, this looks like a ton of icing for just this little thing. Okay. I think we did it. And then I think I'm gonna cut it up and plate it on a nice white plate. I'm gonna try to not have it touch the top of them too much. We still have a few hours. It's 3:15. Because of the snow, we've moved the timeline up. People will now be here likely around 6, which is great. Because then they won't be outside in the snow as much. Let's see if this is still too soft. That might be okay. I think I'm doing this too soon. The edge ones are good, but the insides aren't yet. So, yeah. I'm gonna put it back in the fridge, and then I will finish doing this a little later. All right, here's the plan. The spread will be, all of these will be on this plate, and then these will be out here as well, the cherry bars. They do not look like they did on Pinterest. I'll leave all the recipe links down below, but most definitely doesn't look like Pinterest. I have the sweet cornbread and the savory cornbread. The savory one, I didn't mix the egg well enough, so that's kind of a bummer. And then I have the dip that I have been already enjoying. I have the soup that's not quite done yet. We have the chili that's not quite done yet. And then last, the other chili that is done. And then I have some hot chili powder and chili powder out. I'm gonna put some cheese out as well so people can help themselves. Other than that, I've just got all the utensils out and ready. I know that this evening is going to get a little crazy. Not sure how much I'm going to be able to show you. So I did want to say I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. If you're new here and haven't yet, please subscribe. I'd love to see you. This is not the first game night video that I filmed, so I will pop up another one. And if you are interested in watching anything else, I will pop 2 videos up at the end. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.